I want to start this morning with it's not really a quote, it's more of a statement from a man named Frank Townsend. So just consider what I read here. Do you think there is anything more perfect than this earth? I tell you, there is not. Do you think that there is anything that exists on this earth that is not perfect? I tell you, there is not. The seed is perfect. The seedling is perfect. The plant is perfect. The bud is perfect. The flower is perfect. The fruit is perfect. The seeds of the fruit are perfect, and so on forever. But the perfect seed is not the perfect fruit. Each in its own turn grows out of the other. Flowers and trees, temples, brothels, factories and schools, men and women, all are perfect expressions of themselves. And these perfections are relative in time. And as time passes, these expressions change. The world that is today grew out of the earth of yesterday. And the earth of tomorrow is forming in the earth of today. And you and I belong to the world of today, having come from yesterday with a journey to make into tomorrow. That one made me sit back for a long time and just consider it and think and play with it a little bit. So how do we experience this perfection and make it our reality, our belief? We are called to stay in the present. When we can mentally be in this present moment, all is well. So staying present allows us to see what is and to see it as good. Now, how fantastic would that be to be able to look at this world right now in this moment and see all is perfect? It's hard to do. It's hard to do. If you just walk outside, you're going to see something that's going to make you question it. If you watch the news, oh my gosh. If you buy into the news at all, you will never believe that this is a perfect world. It's easy for us to focus on all that's wrong. You know, it's kind of hard, when you speak those words, it's kind of hard to believe. It's easy to focus on what's wrong. It's easier to focus on what's wrong than it is to focus on what's good. How ridiculous is that? You would think that focusing on the good, the perfect, would be the easiest thing to do, because then everything's good. It's difficult to do that because we've taught ourselves that to see things as good and ignore things that are bad is living in the Pollyanna lifestyle, the mentality. It's walking through an imagination or a daydream. To see things as wrong and bad is to be practical in our teaching. One of the reasons that we've bought into that, there are several, and we're going to talk about a couple of them today, but one of the strongest ones, and this one's hard to believe, it's hard to admit, is that by looking at things as wrong, we get some payoffs. there's some advantages to it. Payoffs are, like I said, hard to admit. When we focus on the negatives in our lives and the world, one payoff may be, not for everybody, but one payoff might be that we create excuses for the difficulties that we might be experiencing. And when we have excuses, we've got reasons for not doing good. You know, seeing that difficulty in front of us, it's like, oh man, this is going to be a big mountain to climb over, and then I can get to the good. But that's going to be a hard deal, and if I don't make it to the top, then I failed. So let's just make excuses right now and not even try. If I have enough good excuses, I don't have to start. There's a payoff in it. Now, the ultimate payoff, obviously, is when you get to the good. Utopia. But that journey to that feels like it's going to be very difficult. Another payoff may be the attention that we get because of it. Oh, look at the troubles I've got before me, this big giant mountain I've got to climb. And people, oh, poor thing. You'll be okay. You can stay right here, I'll take care of you. You don't have to do that. We get attention. And sometimes that attention feels good. Another payoff is that we sometimes feel we are better off than those going through a similar situation. If we look at enough bad stuff, our stuff doesn't look so bad. So they're payoffs. It's hard to admit, I'm going to stay in this negative place because I get some payoffs out of it. You know, if you put those into words, that kind of makes you want to go, no. But it's true. Even though the payoffs seem worth it, the problem is that we focus on what we focus on affects what we see in the world. Everything you see in life, you see in the mirror of your own mind. If your mind is worried or cloudy, so shall be the image you see. If your image is clear, loving, and peaceful, so is your image. If you're thinking clear and loving and peaceful, so is your image. Often in trying to see good in someone else, this is the other one of the things that we do that keep us in this negative state is when we try to see the good in someone else or in something else, we begin to focus on what we expect that someone or that something to become. Now, how many marriages have failed because they married potential? And it's not just marriages. Anything we go into in life, any situation, any experience that we have, if we go into it looking only at the potential of what it can be, we're liable to be setting ourselves up for failure. If you see great potential in someone, that's fine. But if you can't love who they are right this moment, right this experience, you're setting yourself up. And when we set ourselves up and they don't become that potential in the time frame that we've allowed, here's the key. We put all this stuff, okay, you're going to be this, and you're going to do it at this rate of speed and at all these conditions. And if those conditions aren't met, we fall back into the negative, and we see them as wrong, them as broken, them as imperfect. We cheat ourselves out of the perfection of now. When we look at other people in our lives and only see the potential, we will never be able to see the perfection that they are in this moment. If we constantly see them for where we think they could be, or worse yet, and this is where we mostly go, where they should be, we cheat them and ourselves out of the good of the moment. When we see everything as it is right now, we can clear our vision of the entire world. We will never see the perfection or the good of the world as long as we are seeing what's wrong. If you look at what's wrong, you're looking at something that's in the past. If something happened that made you think that's wrong, it's already happened. You're holding on to something that no longer exists. Change your perception. And in changing your perception, you get to change the reality and the experience. Things do grow and change. You will grow and change. When we can see things for the way they are in the moment and see the perfection of things in the moment, change is something that can cause beauty, expansion, elevation. If we cannot see things as they are in this moment, change causes fear. We may love something just as it is right now and hope it never changes. Oh, this is too perfect. It can never change. We are then limiting our experience of it. We are holding that back from changing. We're holding ourselves back from a greater experience. We hold back the flow of life. If change were stopped, where would we be today? Go back 50 years. You don't even have to go back that far. I mean, look at how much we've changed over the past 20 years. Go back 20 years ago. Put a stop, put the brakes on everything. What would you not have today that you consider you can't live without it? If you stopped change 20 years ago, what would you not have today that you really, really need? Change is good. Change is going to happen whether we want it to or not. We can't stop it. But we can embrace it. All of the things we love right now, all of the things we experience in our lives right now, all of the beauty in the world, everything we see in this world that is good is here because of the transformational change that has occurred over time. What you find good in your life didn't just pop up. There was a transformation. That transformation could be in your own thought process, your own perceptions, your own belief system. And it could be that perfect thing you have right now was once not perfect as far as what it is now. But what we have to remember is we have to look at everything in its own stage of life, its own stage of progression, and see it as perfect in that stage. The Ice Age seemed catastrophic to life at that time. The cruelty, evil, and wars that have occurred throughout history all led in their own way to what we have today. Looking into the past to understand the reasons why something happened and looking into the future to understand how something happened today will affect the world, or how things affect the world are not nearly as important as seeing all things in our present moment as perfect. Again, it's the stages. The seed is not the perfect tree. The tree is not the perfect fruit. We have to see things as they are in this moment and find the perfection there. And if we see things as they are in this moment, finding that perfection is not so difficult. So every change is an expression of God, just as everything in this present moment is. To joyfully open ourselves to change, we simply join the amazing expression that is that is occurring in each moment. We need to leave our worries and our fears behind. Because our worries and our fears, things are about things that have not happened yet. Fear, holding on to something that did happen. Another way to look at fear is future events appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Worry is the same way. It's using your imagination in a way that does not serve. So if you're going to imagine, start imagining the good in this present moment. Let that be your guide. Stay fully present and see the glorious truth that is all around you as a beautiful expression of God. If we're to believe that God is omnipresent, everywhere, omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-wise, if we're to believe that, and we're to believe that everything is a creation and expression of God, there can be no imperfection. It's when we stop looking at this world through the divine mind that is within us, and we start looking at it through the egoic mind, which is our human senses. That's when we lose track of the good, of the love, and of the peace. So focus on the now. It is perfect when we choose to see the person, the situation, the experience as the truth that God is expressing into each and every person, situation, and experience. So let's pray. Today I want to share a prayer written by Mother Teresa. It's called, or she titled it, Do It Anyway, and I thought it pretty appropriate for this. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of being selfish or having ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Thank you, God.